So crimping 101 with ready to roll dough. Tools that you'll need for this process are a good pair of kitchen shears, scissors, and your bench flour. And I'd start by having chilled the dough for at least a half an hour. And as you can see, I have some overhang here. And the way I determine how much to cut away is I use my second knuckle, which is about 1 inch. So I take my hand and I place it underneath the pie plate, right at that lipped edge, and then I cut away at those knuckles. So take your hand and measure 1 inch and find that marker. Well, that's it. So my fingers are just guiding around the edge of the pie plate. Work so that you have the best range of motion. And you'll find some places are exactly right. Some places there's a little more overhang than others. So we're just evening things out. This is where the corrections can take place. Save these scraps. We're going to use these in a little bit. So from here, I'm simply going to take the dough and fold it back on itself and set it on that edge of the lip of the pie plate. Then I take my fingers to help guide it. So I lift with my right hand, set the dough edge on the pie plate edge with my left hand, and I just simply go around. Right now, it's not about being perfect and tidy. It's just making that connection of edge to edge, guiding the dough. It's chilled just enough that it's pliable, but it's not so warm that it's melting in hand. There's some ruffled edges. There's some nooks and crannies here. So now I'm going to go around and clean this up so that it's equal, even, pressing very gently my thumb into the top edge of the pie plate, and then I'm using my fingers to help guide the dough onto the edge of the pie plate. So it's kind of this motion. Now for the crimp. You want to get flour on your hands, not a ton of flour, but enough that you have a barrier between your hands and the dough. And I use my 2 knuckles and my thumb for this process. And I simply put my knuckles against the edge of the dough. I'm not pushing out. And then my thumb is pressing the dough back into the knuckles. And then you just go around and around. Now what you don't want to do is you don't want the dough to come off the edge, and you don't want to push the dough out over the edge. You're really using this lip as your landing spot, if you will. It's almost like when you learn how to dive into a pool and you want to get your toes on the edge of the pool. That's what we're doing with the crimped edge. Just keep going around and around. If at any point you push in while crimping on your knuckles or your thumb and you're getting a little pullback with the dough, just simply stop and re-flour your hands again and then go back to it. Like that. Easy and really beautiful too. So that is a crimped edge for your traditional pie. You can tuck any little edges that remain, clean those up a little bit. But the important thing is that you're building this edge that's not falling off the pie plate, it's not falling into the pie plate, but it's really right on top of the lip of the pie plate. So now that you've finished crimping, you might ask yourself why I asked you to hold on to these scraps. In the event that you blind bake and there are any tears or cracks in the dough, this is how we're going to repair that problem. Secondly, it's nice to add some embellishment to pies, so you can use these to cut out decorative elements to top a pie with. And thirdly, of course, is to sprinkle them with cinnamon sugar and bake them off and eat them as a baker's treat. So back into the refrigerator for at least an hour, but to tell you the truth, my favorite way to chill these back down is in the freezer. So I'm going to drop this into my freezer and continue on with the next steps of my recipe.